How close are we to a general election? Answer is just a few votes and a few words away. This morning, the Prime Minister gave a press conference explaining his thinking behind the emergency legislation designed to stop the boats, published yesterday and provoking the resignation of the Immigration Minister Robert Jenrick. That legislation arrives in the Commons on Tuesday. Now, Rishi Sunak has not made it a matter of confidence in his government, presumably because he thinks he could lose. And if he did lose a confidence motion, we would be propelled into an election straight away. But still, as an ordinary yet hugely important proposed law, how likely is it to get through? It's tough enough to make the centre and the left of the Conservative Party feel queasy, but it isn't tough enough to make the right feel happy. Both right and left groups of Tory MPs are consulting lawyers and going through it with a fine-tooth comb, and that might take a few days yet. The problem the right has is that, as the Prime Minister pointed out, if it went any further, the government of Rwanda could walk away and the entire policy collapses in a pile of ash. The problem the left has is that the bill, as it stands, does break international law. Lord Sumption explained to us here yesterday that it does so by denying access to justice or courts for the migrants. At the moment, quite a few Tory MPs are simply failing to turn up to the Commons, so it's frankly a mug's game trying to guess what will happen next week. But assume, for the sake of argument, that the bill gets through that first hurdle on Tuesday. Then there will be toughening amendments from the right and probably softening ones from the left. Whoever loses will be sore, and the final stage in the Commons, third reading, might be when the proposed legislation falls. If it does, Mr Sunak is politically out of road. If it doesn't, it goes to the Lords, where its problems will be even worse. The opposition parties have been told that it must be out of the Lords, all done, by March the 26th next year. Now, that is the last date that Parliament can sit before a general election on May the 2nd. I am not a wise old soothsayer, I'm just a raddled old hack. But it might be worth remembering that date. A May the 2nd election would mean not only tax cuts in January, but moving the budget earlier. Mr Sunak, who quite likes being Prime Minister, at least on some days of the week, would prefer to go much later, possibly even into 2025. But he may have no choice. He's a fighter, and he is giving this his all. But the polling is terrible, and party discipline is crumbling all around him. And when you get a loss of authority and control at the centre of power, what follows tends to be a bit faster than predicted and more than a little chaotic.